County Commission order, April 8th, 2021. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Stephanie.
Here.
Dale is here. You take a look at the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Mark to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Scott.
Was that the end dispense with reading?
Oh.
Or do you want to read that?
No,
Okay.
That's the,
we do that for the minutes.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You can look over the minutes from our March 18th meeting.
there is one, Sam,
Yes.
in the very end here, April 22nd here.
Oh,
It should be April youth today.
oh,
Yep,
okay,
so,
perfect. Thank you.
yep.
Have we seen anything in the minutes that need to be altered?
Just the one thing.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended then.
Motion by Mark to approve the minutes as amended.
And dispense
And
with the reading.
dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Oh.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Want to take a look at the bills?
I know you guys wanted to not do any add-ons, but Wes did receive one in the mail today for Great America Financial for the copier printer. It is due by the 25th. You do have a meeting on the 22nd. We are cutting it kind of close for that one. So if we could just get this one added to not get any late fees, that would be
How much is it, Sam?
$39.50.
Times two, because we split it between the
Oh.
state's attorney and ours, so it's
Oh,
79.
$79. Yep. Okay.
Is there anything that brought to your attention, Sam, when you went through them?
Nope.
Everything's pretty well.
Yep.
Would you tell us if there was?
Yes.
Okay. Checking.
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill.
Motion by Stephanie, approve the vouchers as presented with the addition of Great American Financial for $79. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Take a look at the monthly office reports.
Have you seen anything for the office reports? I'll make a motion to approve the monthly office reports.
Motion by Mark to approve the monthly office reports. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I can second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Wes.
So, I wanted to talk to you guys about this bill that was sent to the auditor's office. We can go back. I didn't print it off because I didn't feel like wasting more paper. But it started in 2010. Hook had traded in a Ruger machine gun for $5,000, and then spent the money. And then apparently went above and beyond in 2014 of what the credit was when he bought ammunition. Last year I had received an email from, I believe it's the loft or the attic or whatever they go by. Last year I received an email saying we owed $1,900. I had asked them a few questions. Mainly, they had it written down that they had emailed Bob in 2015. I asked for those emails because my records do not go back that far. I don't have any invoices. And then I went to the auditor's office to see or that was this year. But I just asked what was the conversation between him and Bob. I never received any answer back in 2019, so I just dismissed it. I mean, if they're not gonna communicate with me, then obviously it's not that big of a deal for them. They sent an email to the auditor's office this year with a more elaborate statement of what we all owed with the credits and what the debits were. And again, I had questions about, first, what was the emails between him and Bob back then. Maddie and I tried to look through their records to see if anything had been paid, and their records don't go back to 2014 to 2010 when this all took place. Not only that, but last year, or 2019, they asked for $1,900, and now this year they're asking for $1,300, and
Why did it go down?
I have no idea, because I emailed them and I asked them, and they didn't give me an answer. Just that the credit, this is what the credit was, and this is how much you guys have spent. So, from what they've sent, all the statements and everything, I think I can agree that if nothing's been paid, that we owe 13, whatever the end of,
Do we have the guns?
we have the guns. I know where all the guns are. Some of them are in the office. Hook has 2 of the guns, and he's gonna make arrangements to bring them, turn them in this weekend. And then when Terry died, Bob made a deal with Travis Gray that he could keep Terry's guns, but eventually would have to pay for them. So I confirmed with Travis that he still has those 3 guns, and he does. And that still needs to be worked out where he can buy them. Guns in the sheriff's office can be purchased 2 different ways, through a sheriff's sale, which I prefer not to go through, but an FFL can buy them, and that's what I would like to do, to have the FFL buy them, so that when they sell them, they do the proper checks and everything, and I sell them to an FFL, and then Travis buys them from.
Do you know how many people in the county have FFLs?
I think 3 or 4. There's 2 businesses in Cooper, 1 in Hannaford, and I believe there's 1 more person that has one, but doesn't have like a business. They just
Yep.
have one.
Yep.
But there's only one current, the only one that's up to date in the paperwork in Griggs County.
I've got 3. I get the reviews every year. They have to send us
Yep.
their stuff, so I have the paperwork in my office.
Yeah, they're not current, 'cause I just was having some guns sent to Griggs County, and there's only one that's current.
Oh. I think, I think of 2 right off that are current. But maybe not, but were you getting a suppressor?
No, this,
Okay.
but.
Because I know-
it was an item that required an FFL, and so then we went through the whole check, and there's 4 listed in Griggs County, but only 1 is current that could be shipped to.
Okay.
Steph, isn't your husband FAL dealer? Correct?
Yep. Yep.
You think that?
Well, yeah, it just shows 1 being current. It shows all 3, it shows all.
All 4.
But it doesn't, that's up little.
No, yeah. So, yeah, I, as long as all 4 are contacted and have their paperwork up to,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have an issue with that.
So yeah, that was my plan with the guns, but the bill, I mean, I have my questions on that. This isn't my doing, and it bothers me to a personal level, because I don't like owing people money in my personal life. I like paying off my bills right away. So I don't want the reputation of not paying the bill. but also, was it that important that we're hearing about it 7 years later?
Well, that's the point. It almost, so it's 8 years actually, 2014.
14, I think, was the last purchase.
So from a, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but from a legal standpoint, if they took us being Griggs County to court, I think that it is past,
I think there was 6
It's
or 7
past-
statute
past
limitations on
collectible.
civil collections.
which raises the question, why did they sit on a $1,300 bill for 8 years and not trying to collect it? Is it a legitimate bill? It must not have been legitimate to them at one time if they didn't try to collect it. I would say that this is an issue between whoever incurred the bill and the people that are owed. But the other thing that we have to look at is, this was not budgeted money.
Mhm.
So where was the authorization to even spend this money? Without authorization to spend the money, it's not a legitimate debt also. This was before my time at the county commission, before Dale's. But it seems to me that this kind of arrangement and the lack of any effort to collect it for over 8, 9 years would indicate that there's probably something not exactly kosher in this thing.
And if you go through, like I said, on the bills, it says that they did contact Hook in 2015 or something like that. And I'd asked for the emails, and when I ask for the emails, they don't respond anymore. And I'd rather do it over email, so it's black and white there. Because when they emailed, when Maddie got the email, I went right back to my emails in 2019, so I knew exactly what was said. And I still would like to know what was said in 2015 to Bob.
Yeah. We're in no danger of any further monies being expended here. If it's really important, they can go through the channels to get this paid. They can present the information to a judge and let the system that we have in place decide whether this is legitimate or not. Again, something presented 8 years after the fact doesn't, you and I would question it. Any business would question that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's no way to know if these items were physically delivered to the county,
No. And
other than the firearms that we
that we don't have.
that we
I have.
we kind of have.
The only ones I don't have in my possession are 5 of them, and there's, what did he order? It's the first time. So I don't know why the sheriff's office needs that many handguns, but I wasn't in control.
No, and we're again, and as far as this not being paid, it doesn't reflect upon your office, it reflects upon the prior office. And just because we're in possession of some of the firearms, we have to be in possession of enough firearms to equal the total amount of money that is owed, $1,372. So we need all the firearms till we get over to that point, and then we need to determine whether or not any of this was legit. Who authorized it?
I know the leathers that were bought in 11, one was for Adam Vanosic that I took over for, and I believe when he left him with the Steele County, I think Bob had him pay that money back. I don't remember, and then the other leathers were mine, of course.
Yeah.
But so there is some of the equipment. I think I went through it. I could tell where all of the stuff was going towards.
But I mean, a budget not only approves the funds to make the purchase, a budget approves the purchase. And if it wasn't approved in a budget, then how did we incur these bills? And so all that we should be able to see that.
Would have been approved by the prior commissioners.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we certainly should be able to ask those questions and the ultimate authority on whether or not all this is correct would be, I would say, a judge. I mean, I sure would never pay a bill like this personally.
Are any of these guns that are listed here are in that you are using today?
Nope. I still use I guess I use my 22. I don't, my Glock 22 40 cal. I don't use it, now we have 9s.
Yep.
I'll use it as a secondary weapon if I'm going somewhere, because that one I don't have a flashlight on and it fits in my holster real quick,
Yeah.
so I can grab it and run. So I do qualify with that one. The other Glock, Bob's Glock 22 that he has in the office, the only one that I don't have, and his 42, which is a concealable gun. I don't have his 36, and then that's a 45 caliber, and then there was a Colt for $100 that he bought,
What is that? Is that
a Colt revolver.
Okay.
Colt's the brand.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yep.
And so he bought that. Know what that was for, but for $100, he says he has that. And then, like I said, Travis has a 42, the 36, and the 22. But I have. So there was 4 Glock 22s bought in 2010 before I came here, and I have all of them except for the one Travis has. And of course, I still have one at home.
Okay. How many of them do we need?
The 22s, we could probably sell the ones that we have here. I would like to keep mine for now. But the ones that we have in our offices, those can go. Those, we can sell those. We don't need them. I asked Amber if she wanted the Glock 42, the concealable one to carry off duty, and she said that she would. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's just a matter of which ones we need. The bill is a whole nother issue.
the Glock 22s we don't need. I'm not buying any more 40 ammo
Okay.
for them. We have like a case still left over,
Okay.
and anything else that if anyone else wanted it, they'd have to buy their own ammo to shoot those guns. But I have them in my office. You could sell them, so.
What would you recommend, Jamie, we do with this bill? Have you looked at the timelines on this?
I have. I looked at it and spoken with the about it. It's up to you guys. I mean, as far as the knowledge that I have, a bill that's collectible in civil action is supposed to be less than 6 years old. So not paying for it and try to get that money. I would guess that the judge would say what my thought would be. It depends on the relationship that the county wants to have with this vendor. I know that they provide guns through probably a good majority of the sheriff's departments in the state, I would guess.
Yeah, I haven't gone through them to get our. We got our 9s through Balco, I think.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be, so if we didn't pay the bill, it wouldn't be
Well,
mad at us per se?
I don't think they would be mad about it, but
But Wes,
I don't-
you feel that this is a true bill?
I feel it's a true bill. I mean, I can account for
Everything that's there?
I can go through and I can reasonably say that this was bought for this was bought for that. I don't like that I don't know what the communication was to the prior elected official
Yep.
and them. And I mean, even if they just said, we just don't have it, they just stopped communicating after I asked for it.
Yeah.
And like you said, personally, if I got this bill, it would have been paid for right away. We wouldn't,
8 years ago.
I'm sure any of us got this bill 8 years
Yeah.
ago, it would have been paid
Yeah.
and not sat on it for this long, so
That's
there
right.
wouldn't have been questions on it.
I mean, the fact that we don't have the property in our possession either.
That's what I mean.
This isn't even worth discussing.
we've gotta get a hold of the property. If we can sell it, as you said, use the proceeds to pay the bill that it's suggested for.
Pay a bill that is way past due, that has never been been put before us before? On what premise?
But
On what premise would you do that? We don't even know if he was authorized to buy this stuff.
do you know if it hasn't been brought to him? It was before you were on.
They have not tried to collect this for 8 years.
I realize that. I
Okay,
realize that.
it's not our job to make sure that it was done correctly. It's someone's job to show us that it was done correctly.
Yes, yeah. But I can also understand what Wes is saying. He can document that we received the product.
No, we didn't. It went to other, he said there's 3 of them with Terry Gray's son.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, right there's the value of the $1,300.
Yep.
But again, the question begs, why was this not collected until 8 years after the fact?
That's true. Yeah, why didn't
Well,
they
you see
submit,
that-
if it was presented to the county and the voucher wasn't paid, why wasn't it resubmitted
Yeah.
every month until they had satisfaction on this account?
Absolutely, and you and
I-
I have personal history with the past sheriff, and this was not something that was uncommon. There was
No,
all kinds of things that were done that we never knew about, that were side deals done outside of the purview of the county. And I would assume this is just one more of them. I don't know what the circumstances are, but we're not obligated to pay something that we're not obligated to pay. That's not very good use of the taxpayers' dollars.
but you're satisfied with the firearms are gonna be, that the
firearms
paperwork
will
is gonna fall, catch
Yeah.
up to them, and
Yeah,
they're not gonna be out in the wind, so to
Yeah.
speak.
I'll tell you, as soon as I became sheriff, I did call the ATF and I had them run a check on our guns, because I said, if I'm gonna be responsible for this office, I wanna know what guns. So that actually the Ruger that started this whole thing off was still under our name, and I searched high and low for that and ended up having to call Bob, and he told me that he's the one, he traded it in, and then ATF actually ended up calling Bob and talking to him about it, so.
I mean, if we're not in possession of the guns, we need to show that where the guns went. I mean, technically, we are
Right,
responsible for their whereabouts.
right, yeah, and I guess I don't approve of how Bob handled, the guns of Terry's after he passed. But I've talked to Travis and I've told him what I want done with them.
But Bob didn't have Bob didn't have the authority to give county property away.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's right.
that's, so what happened to him is kind of a moot point. We need to make sure that we get control of them, and the deals that Bob made didn't have the authorization, he didn't have the authorization to make, so that's the way it is. I don't even know if we can give the guns to Terry. I don't imagine we can. It's county property being given
It would,
without a bid. I don't think we can do that.
I can, like I said, I can sell to an FFL without going through doing a sheriff's sale, and that's the way I would feel most comfortable selling these guns. And then Travis would have to go to the FFL and say, these are the guns I want. And he would have to make a deal with them, I'm out of it. Once I sell it to the FFL dealer, I'm out of it.
That way they're registered and,
Yep.
Because he didn't pay the sheriff's department for those 3, no, lot.
Anything over $150 is supposed to be sold by auction.
Absolutely.
Or not necessarily auction, but
Yep.
bid.
Competitive bid. Public bid, yep, absolutely.
yeah, I think there's different ways. You can go competitive bids, and then you'd have to have a person with an FFA,
No, just to do the transfer. You could be the
Well,
competitor.
I think, I
Yes,
think it
yes.
is permissible. West had a section of code and I didn't find it. But West has had a section of code that does allow them to sell the guns back to an FFL as well without having to have a competitive bid process, from my understanding. And to, I guess, to rid the county of any responsibility of
Holding a sheriff's sale and
Yeah,
selling
I
it to
think
anyone the highest bid.
I think that probably would be a permissible and okay way to do it too.
I guess I've never seen that. I've just seen disposal of harbor property and the guidelines for that. And there's not an exclusion for weapons there that I've seen.
Well, there isn't, but I haven't found it, but West said he has had that section.
I think we need a little more investigation
Yeah.
into that.
I got a
think
call
it's gone
from
on
the-
long enough today, that deal.
Yeah,
I
a
think
little
we-
longer won't hurt it.
No.
No, no.
See how you can sell those, if you can get that.
Yeah, I'll get that
section,
code.
that
I was
code.
approached, the way I found out about that code, I was approached by the sheriff of Trail County, and he said, hey Wes, I don't know if you've done this, but if you have any guns and evidence, this is the way to get it. And I texted him this week and said he's out for the week, so he has the code on his desk. But, so
Like to see those things.
No, I mean, so it's already been done in the fact that the $5,000
Yeah.
Ruger went to.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Was it done correctly? I don't know.
that was more trade than sale, though.
Either way, yeah. You'd have
It
to-
doesn't matter if you gave it to them for cash or you gave it to them for
Yeah.
considerations, it's still a sale.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see how we proceed after, but I don't think we're gonna do anything on this bill today. And I think it's out of your hands, I think you brought it here, so we'll see what happens from here on.
Okay.
Thanks, Wes.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Wes.
thank you, Wes. Fire emergency and burn restrictions. You got some pages on that here, Jamie? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be in your packet, I believe.
Page 37, it should be, yeah. What was sent last night had a spot that said Nelson County, so Jennifer did fix that for you, Jamie.
Yeah, so I plagiarized most
Good.
I guess I was approached by Randy Myers from the fire department. He asked about a burn ban. I spoke with Tony Oberson and Rory Opp from the fire departments. The fire departments would like to see a burn ban, and the chief would like to see a burn ban. Because of the dry weather and the fire conditions. I guess, North Dakota, Griggs County is the only state, or the only county within the state right now that doesn't have some sort of burn ban or burn restrictions. I was contacted by the DES on Tuesday morning asking if we would put one on, but I had spoken with Samantha and Dale prior to that. I know it sucks restricting burning. I understand that. Everybody wants it's a dry spring. Everybody wants to clean up sloughs and mow everything. I do understand that. I want to get some burning done out of our place too. And I think this is kind of about what I have proposed for burning restrictions instead of an all-out burn ban is a balancing act, allowing people to burn when the weather is fair, and prohibiting burning when it's extreme or very high or red flag warning. I guess I think we kind of will agree to the fire departments. We have all volunteer fire departments in the communities around here, and they have jobs or they're farmers, and they have families. And I don't think that they need to be called out every day for burning when it can be prevented as well. So that's my 2 cents.
But here it talks about a burn ban.
Yeah, and I don't see any provisions for,
Should be.
I don't see any provisions that for, accidentally starting a fire.
Well,
I see no provisions in here for a controlled burn. This just basically, if you start a fire, you're,
And I could change some of the language to burn restrictions instead of ban. I know exactly what you're talking about. An accidental fire, it doesn't, and this is for intentionally started fire. An accidental fire is an accidental fire.
I mean, you wanna see people go crazy. If we banned cigarette smoking in the county until it was started to rain, I got a brother-in-law that would go absolutely nuts.
yeah. But so there's a lot of, maybe under a different, maybe if it's more explained, but so I got a lot of questions here. What happens if Mark goes out and burns and the burn is successful? No damage to other property. It accomplished what he wanted to accomplish, but he burned.
John, you
but
can
he,
use the argument that you can drive 140 miles an hour above the 65 mile an hour speed limit, and you successfully made it someplace without getting in a car accident, but you still broke the law and there's still a speed limit.
That's my point. Is so if Mark does this without causing any damage to anybody and accomplish what he was trying to accomplish, but he still broke the law if we put this into place.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean,
See, and right now, there isn't anything.
The state doesn't feel that it's severe enough to put a burn ban in place. They have the ability to
it's
put a
actually
statewide,
it's the state's opinion to leave it up to local agencies.
and that would be my opinion also. Leave it up to the cities, leave it up to the townships, leave it up to the local agencies. More so, leave it up to the individual that's going to be managing their land. I feel that the people that voted for me, voted for all of us, are capable of making rational decisions. Why not leave these rational decisions in their hands? This penalizes anybody, anytime there's a fire, there's a penalty for it, no matter how the fire started, what the outcome of the fire was. It doesn't seem to benefit anybody by having that in place.
Well, your argument, John, there should be no laws unless it.
I never argued that, Jamie.
Well,
I never argued
It's
that.
no different than say a speed limit. You're
Yes, there is a speed. Okay, here.
So I could be driving down Highway 200 between here and the farm and driving 110 miles an hour, and I'm not hurting anybody until
We have a
I
law
get
against
stopped.
driving 110 miles an hour. I'm saying we shouldn't have a law against burning unless it hurts something. There is laws in place. If I go start a fire and I burn up Mark's farm, he has the right to penalize me civilly. There has to be. Just because there's a fire started doesn't mean that necessarily endangered anybody or hurt somebody. I've been in the federal firefighting business for 35 years. Needless to say, we've fought some of the biggest wildfires in the United States. During dry conditions, there's more fires started to prevent further fires as a safety measure. And what happens if Mark has 110 acres of CRP out on the north side of his house, and if it starts on fire, it's going to burn his house up? He might very well, when there's a south wind, go out there and do a controlled burn and burn that off there. Under this, he couldn't do that.
Yeah, he could, because it's not an all burn ban. It's a burn restriction, and I could change that language. It's a burn restriction during the high periods. It's not an outright ban on burning in Griggs County.
Jamie, where does that say here? You deal in words. I can't read your mind. I can read this.
Okay, for all very high, extremely high, and red flag days until further notice, there's a moderate, low, and high period too.
Read this. The penalty for violation of this burn ban.
Okay, we can change that to a
Well,
burn restriction.
You
now.
can't come in and argue that I'm just reading what you gave me.
Okay, I understand that, but that language can be changed, just like we've done in how many letters and how many things that we've edited to your preference.
Jamie, why would you impose something like this when there's beneficial reasons for burning? There's a whole bunch of people that need to get back some cropland. And maybe they need a permit from the fire department in order to burn. Maybe there needs to be a supervised burn. Maybe there are conditions where it shouldn't be done, but don't you think the people doing this are smart enough to decide whether or not they should burn or not? I think it should be left to the hands of the citizens rather than the hands of some bureaucrat. And
I guess the only calls I've got on this issue have been they would just soon not have a burn ban in place. No one's contacted me requesting a burn ban from, other than Jamie and the people that have contacted him, but I haven't been contacted directly by anyone.
And I didn't talk to any other fire department, but I talked to Lee Gilbertson of the Binford Fire Department, and I read him this, and he said, well, yeah, we'd kind of like a burn ban in place, but we don't want to penalize people unnecessarily. So that was just 2 hours ago. And again, I think the citizens of Griggs County are smart enough to realize that they probably shouldn't be burning at certain times. But I also think they're smart enough to realize that if there's something that can be done safely, they should be able to do it.
I had three people approach me about a burning ban. And they all work for the fire department,
Mhm.
so. And then, so.
I think they'd like some help of some sort. Not necessarily a ban, but, you know, unless you were gonna ban, campfires or whatever.
Well, will a ban eliminate fires? Or will, now that there's a ban, somebody needs to have something burned off, instead of supervising that burn, will they just drive by and throw a fire at it, match at it, and let it burn off? That's the other thing, that maybe people are put in a position where that has to be burned.
Yeah.
But now I can't burn it, so I'm gonna have to let nature burn it.
Well, you know, as we've talked to, with CRP, burning it before April 15th is a qualified practice.
Mhm.
Well, granted, things don't burn unless they're dry,
Right.
you know? So
So,
if you have control of it and you can, or ask for help. I mean, I know what you're saying, Jamie, and I know what the firemen, they'd like some relief or some help.
So what I'm asking for isn't a complete ban. That's not what I'm asking for. And it may be worded incorrectly in there, but I'm not asking for a complete ban.
Well, I think all this highlighted dark stuff down here on the bottom could go away.
well, we're trying to make life easier for the fire departments. Is that what I get out of this?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Why don't we just put a permit in place that in order to burn, you have to get a permit from the fire department? That will put them in control of the situation. That will let them know that there's gonna be fire taking place. That will help let them counsel the
Yep.
people that wanna burn.
Make sure that everything is
Yeah.
safe.
Then they determine whether the conditions are
Correct.
Yep.
fit.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what this is for, is to alleviate
The
the
worst
strain in the
case
fire
scenarios.
department, let's put the fire department in charge.
Is there any, without like this burn ban per se, is there any legal things against us if something goes bad, you know, without a burn ban in place, you follow legal
Well,
regulations?
there I believe without a fire emergency that there is, the fire emergency, declaring a fire emergency would changes some of the obligation, and this is probably a stretch, but if not the burn ban portion of it, but if say some other fire department was called in on mutual aid, there's FEMA availability, emergency fund money available to pay for those other fire departments coming in if there's a mutual aid situation.
Not unless the state has the same emergency, and they don't, because it has to filter down from the state to the local, and the state doesn't even think that we should have a fire emergency burn ban in place. I'm not quite sure why we should.
So the state, they're gonna.
So in order-
Could the state actually put a statewide ban in place?
Yes.
They could.
State could.
Yes, they could, and Well, Jamie, I guess I don't know in the fire.
The
part
state,
of it.
the state
But in
could
the-
put a burn ban on,
They
but
could
they're
put a
not
burn
going
ban.
to because
Why is that?
there are 52 of 53 counties right now that have burn bans
There's no
in
point.
place, so there's no
Except
point.
for us.
And actually, the state did call me wondering why we didn't have a burn ban, or some sort of burn ban. What Joel Lees expressed to me from the DES is that the governor's office watches this every day. At the time when he called me, there were 4 counties, Slope, Bowman, Griggs, and Towner that didn't have burn bans, and I believe every county got a call from the DES and the governor's office was wondering why there wasn't some sort of burn ban on.
Well, what are your wishes?
I guess my thing, we have to do something, something, like a permit or something, because right now I think we're on the hook right now.
I'm not hooked for
Not
I don't
nothing.
think we're on the hook for nothing.
For
but
what?
I think if I was to do it, if I was king, I would have.
Well, if this is a 2-2 vote, you are king.
Yeah. I would put a ban on open campfires.
So here's
mad
some
at Cub
information
Scouts?
that I
And
got.
not Cub Scouts.
Here's information I have from the state. General cost rules, if there is no declaration of fire emergency, 100% of all costs borne by the local jurisdiction. And if there's a local incident with local declaration and local jurisdiction responsible for all costs, local emergency funds may be used. And, yeah, so it would open up the availability for emergency funds.
Most people know not to start a fire when it's windy and dry. What the problem is they burn something when it's calm and nice, and then a week later, the wind comes up and jumps out of there.
I had a perfect example of that last fire.
Is someone liable for this penalty if they burned on a nice day and it rekindled
No,
3-4 days later?
It wouldn't be, no.
Why? Why wouldn't they be?
Because they didn't start the fire during that red flight, or during the ban period.
Yeah, but if I did it now, and I went out and I burnt a chunk, and everything was fine, and 2 weeks from now, when there isn't the ban on, and it took off again. I mean, there's so many twisted things to this ordeal.
You have no culpability to be criminally liable. Civilly liable, you could be potentially.
If you were-
But not criminally liable.
Yeah. And, who takes this thing off when we put it on?
You guys do.
Who decides that, okay, it's green enough now?
That's up to you guys to do that. I mean, you're the commission. You're ultimately the ones that put it on and take it off.
What was the benefit of doing this again?
The fire department, to relieve excess strain on the fire department, which, again, I think if that's the case, we should let the fire department determine whether or not there can be any burning take place.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's dry out, and if a fire gets away from someone, if fire gets in the river valley or fire gets in the Bald Hill Creek, not only that, what's the chance of stopping something like that?
Do other counties have a penalty fee on it too?
It's
Have you compared?
It's covered by
Writing
state,
there?
if there's a county burn ban or burn restrictions, it's covered by statute. And yeah, everybody, it's been enforced.
Now we can go another step again. The $1,500, who receives that? Where does it go? It doesn't go back to the local fires.
Well, what I have done in the past when there has been burn bans on up in Nelson County, instead of
and actually, instead of making the people go through court even, we've settled it without being prosecuted with a donation to the fire department.
Isn't a local fire call about $500? I think it's something like that.
$250.
No, it's
Not
$500.
so cheap. Yeah, maybe it is
It
500.
is 500, yeah.
Well, shall we vote?
I still like the idea of having it go to the local fire departments, and have them say yes or no.
Just require a permit.
So we could just require a permit for burning?
So you want a countywide ban, with the discretion left to the fire departments then? Without a permit from the fire department, they're subject to the fines and fees.
I think it's fair enough.
Might be fair enough for you. I still stand by my
I know.
my original libertarian views that the people get to make their own decisions on this, and there's penalties in place if they make the wrong decision. I believe in personal choice, and I believe in accountability. And if somebody lights a fire and makes a wrong decision and burns down your house, they'll be civilly held liable for it. That's what our country was founded on.
Whether we
Not
have-
having, we've just been through this COVID thing of everybody telling us what to do. Haven't we learned a lesson here?
Whether we have a burn ban or not, you're still liable for that.
Absolutely.
Whether it's dry enough or whether it's wet enough or whatever. But,
And that's something that railed against the state all these times because they're too restrictive, and they're the ones that are least restrictive, and we're contemplating doing something that they haven't done. Damn.
We're also in extreme drought too. You gotta keep that in mind too. What the state is.
you know,
But you
I have my,
realize that.
you know, there we're gonna have been other issues.
I know.
I mean, I can argue that maybe they wanna use the last 20 years as normal. And I'll say we've been excessively wet during them 20 years. You take the 80s and go from the 80s,
Yeah.
we're probably not that dry.
I think you'd find it pretty hard to find somebody that would say, yeah, it's okay to go ahead and burn today on a windy day. I think,
Absolutely.
I think
I agree with
everybody,
that, but
I think
some people just don't
everybody's,
think. You know.
Well, we'll have a restriction to cause them to think.
I don't. Can you reword this with that permit thing in there, Jamie?
Yeah, I can,
Does that put even more onerous on the fire department?
well,
Well,
that's
they're the
the
ones that are
problem, too.
requesting this thing. So I guess they would have to have that authority, or be willing to take that authority.
well, if we're trying to protect them,
Yeah,
that will give them the
You bet.
protection they need. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll be able to decide whether or not
Yeah.
they burn or not.
and they'll know what's going on and what's not. So if they have somebody driving down the highway that sees a fire burning off to the side, they'll say, yeah, this is in this section, and he was approved for today. I think that makes some sense. For me, probably not for John, but that would be,
I'm only one person here, guys.
yeah.
With the way this is written now, you can burn on days when it's fit to burn, but how does a person determine if it meets the criteria?
that forecast is published every day to the North Dakota response page, and we have to get that information out to people. That's the way you decide to do it.
But
'Cause if
the
they're
southern
if-
part of the state had a lot of rain here just the other day.
It's on a county by county
How,
forecast.
who puts out, who decides?
The National Weather Service.
Weather
puts
Service.
out-
Weather Service puts it
They
out.
put a county by county forecast on it. So today we're in a moderate category because the humidity is higher and it was moist in some places.
So today it would have been permissible to start a fire.
And actually, there haven't been that many days that haven't been permissible to start a fire. Other than earlier last week when there was the high winds.
I think if you
My
move off,
question is,
go ahead.
What's that?
Well, my question on that is, would this be like from this day forever, or just you do this only during, like now, when there's,
And you guys can put it on and take it off whenever you want if you decide to do it.
The only way I'll be in favor of this is if all this highlighted stuff down on the bottom, the penalty for violation of a burn ban is a Class B misdemeanor, and that whole business is gone. Because I'm not gonna say that you cannot, you allow the person up in the top to burn when conditions are right.
Right, and that's what
And
that
then
is.
that's-
It's for when those restrictions are in place.
Yeah. But it can be read,
So if I say the penalty for burning during a very high, extreme, and red flag days are a B misdemeanor, is that fine then? Or do you want it gone completely?
I think it's gotta be gone completely. It's just a matter,
So then let me ask you this
I
one.
realize what you're gonna ask me.
So what's the incentive for someone to follow it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's back it up one more notch then, Jamie. Why do we need an incentive for someone to follow it? Again, are we saying that the residents of Griggs County don't have a mind of their own and aren't capable of making decisions? They make all the rest of the decisions that earn the money, that pay for the government. Why can't they make the decisions on what's good for them and their individual business and their neighbors? Why do we dictate them from up high? It's supposed to be worked the other way around. So,
Well,
it's
based on what you're saying, John, we need to live in a land without any laws or rules, because
well,
why
we need to
do
live in a
we have
land
to
with
have any laws or
we
rules?
need to
in it?
live in a land with a whole less laws and rules, I'll guarantee you that. There's no doubt about that. So just because there's 100 rules, you're saying then there should be 101. Every rule should be scrutinized as to the validity and how it affects the people that are going to have to live with that law. Again, I think that the people of Griggs County are able to make decisions on their own when it comes to fire, danger, and safety. And if they make a mistake, they certainly shouldn't be penalized for it.
but there's always that one person. That one that does it for everybody.
Right.
And you can't legislate against, stop that.
Yeah. Well,
It's just that.
I can counter that argument for you, Steph. Better 100 people go free than one innocent person.
Yeah, I've heard that comment
Gone.
before.
Yeah. And so,
Well,
I think this is a little strong, this wording, and I don't know how to fix it.
Well, what portion of it? The punishment portion? You don't.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, Mark, what do we do? I mean, if so, do you just want to suggest that people don't burn during extreme and very high and red flag days? Because that's really what it would be then.
Mhm.
But then, my mom and dad suggest that I go to bed early at night and I don't listen to them. I mean, what's my punishment?
What was your punishment? You knew what it was gonna be, but it wasn't gonna be a fine.
and
I
Jamie,
just,
Jamie, are we the citizens' mother and fathers? Is this a nanny
Yeah.
state? Good Lord.
or can you, or clarify that these penalties are only under red flag days? And is
Yeah,
that
I
what
mean,
your
I
intention
can
is?
say that if you violate the restriction, which that's what it would be, is it's restricted under the red flag, very high and extreme days, then it would be punishable by up to misdemeanor. And my preference, like I said, my preference isn't for the money to go to the state. I think that's a waste. My preference would be for the money to go to the fire departments.
When do we meet again?
The 22nd.
course, you can always call a special meeting, you know,
Yep.
for this,
Yep.
of course.
If you soften that, can you write that up to, for that, only on red flag days would penalties be applied?
You want red flag days? Just
Yeah.
red flag
Yeah.
days, okay.
And how are you gonna make the people aware of that? So they're
Exactly.
they're going to see you burn
Yep,
today, and tomorrow they're gonna go
Yep.
out and burn, and it's a red flag day, and they're right back in the same trap.
And I will agree with you, John, that is tough to make people aware of that.
yep,
I mean, everybody agrees that there's a fire emergency. Why can't we leave it at that? If you wanna compromise out of me, do away with the penalty completely and make this advisory rather than punitive. I don't have any problem with all the rest of this. I do have a problem with penalizing people. I
yep.
think they should be able to make that decision and have to deal with the consequences of it.
So you're saying is the bottom part you don't have,
Yeah, that's the problem, all the highlighted stuff there.
very bottom.
If we're telling people that it's dangerous to burn during red flag conditions, that's fine. I think that's fine. That's advisory.
Yeah.
If we're telling them they can't, and we're gonna fine them $1,500 if they don't, or, I don't like that idea.
And guide them to the fire department if they are going to, you know, not that they have to get a permit, but.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, if, you could, I'd even go for the permit part of it, if they wanna get a
But then you're
permit.
being more restrictive in how I mean, if you would say there's a burn ban unless you contact the fire department, then what do? You put the burden on the fire department, you put the burden on that person to check in with the fire department. And, again, how do we get that information out to the public?
I've got personal information into this deal. I had the fire department come out and do a controlled burn and some CRP that I was burning off. They lit it, they did all the things they were supposed to do, just like they wanted, and.
Right, but how do you relay that to all the people?
Not just wait, it's gonna get better. It got halfway through, they got a call to another emergency. And they left with one person, with one truck, and the wind switched. And it went across. Now, we can't legislate for everything that's gonna happen. We just can point out to people that it's dry, and please use extreme caution when burning. And I think that's about as far as we can go. If you want to require them to get a permit to burn during this time from the fire department,
So, let me ask you this, you require them to get a permit from the fire department, what happens if they don't?
yeah.
Then they don't, so what,
Well, or do you make a permit cost so much? I don't know what you do. It's easier if you don't do anything, but I think
but is
there
that
has
the
to
right
be
thing
some
to
help.
do? I mean, that's always the easiest thing not to do anything.
Yeah. But I think they'd like, at least for people to be aware of the severity, because there are people that
I
are
mean,
burning their garbage and burning their, and it is getting away, and that's
just to
why
make-
they're being
I guess I'm
called.
gonna argue with that, just to make people aware of the severity, if you don't know the severity of the fire danger right now, you've been living under a rock.
Well,
So you're arguing against the ban.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's still not.
yeah.
I,
But just to simply have an advisory to
Okay.
make people aware of the fire, I mean, you should know what the fire danger already if you've been around.
I'm ready. We're gonna take off. I'll make a motion to put in place the burn ban, but eliminate the penalty and misdemeanor and $1,500 fine.
So you want an advisory? Well, yeah,
Yep.
burn down. Yeah.
Mark's made a motion to alter the proclamation and remove the penalty from it. Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I request a roll vote.
Well, this just changed language, not to put the,
Oh, I thought this was to adopt it.
I think this
Let's do it.
This was to adopt it.
oh, okay.
Just eliminate the penalty.
Okay, roll call vote. John,
No.
Scott,
Yeah, yes.
Scott votes yes. Mark,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Dale votes no. Motion carries.
I'll let you bring it back to you guys.
We have a certificate of significant community support from the city of Cooperstown. They're getting a USDA grant to purchase a utility tractor and mower. And part of their application process is everybody has to think it's a good idea.
Chris said that she would come to the meeting if you wanted her to, but if you guys
This-
are okay with,
This is the same thing we've done when the hospital got a USDA grant, when
yeah, yeah,
Ann Carlson Center
correct, yep, yep,
applied for a grant.
correct, yep, yep.
So you want a motion to accept the,
Yeah, motion to sign it, I guess.
yeah. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mark to sign the certification of community support. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion carries. We've got, this is just, the employees are gonna change
Okay,
those
so
insurance
the employee voluntary insurance, we did have some salesmen come into the office wanting to discuss switching over some insurances. We did switch over our dental insurance a few years ago because it was significantly high, and now these people can get it down lower. And same with our vision insurance, and that would be all under one thing. The county doesn't pay for any of this, so I wasn't sure if I needed to come to you guys to get this approved to make these changes. I couldn't remember what we did the last time we switched dental insurance, so just wanted to bring it to your attention that we did get these quotes asking to see what your guys' thoughts were about offering this to the employees and switching the dental insurance that the county offers.
It's not offered through the county, so we don't need to act on it. It's just,
Unless you guys would like to take that over and offer it to the employee.
Nice try, Sam.
That one reworded.
So that's okay for me to go ahead with that?
Sure, whatever the employees desire with it.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
And DNA Mobility's informing us of a policy change. You're gonna do work tickets to track issues with the IT system. I think it's just an informational page for us.
So if you guys are okay with that information, he will be sending that out tomorrow.
Matter of cutting down on all the emails going back and forth.
I hope so.
And it'll also give us something to quantify how many calls he's had.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually see what each call costs us.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a pretty good
Yeah.
change to the process.
It's a high-tech version of the complaint jar.
Kinda. That's trackable though, so it's.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Perfect.
I don't think it's called a complaint jar anymore. It's called, what was the last one I saw?
Do you have one of those at your office, John?
Yeah,
Yeah, I go through it every day.
yeah, it's a circular file.
Is it right next to
Yeah,
Jackie's desk?
yeah.
I log most of the complaints and no one listens to me.
It's a suggestion box now, it's not
Yeah.
it's not a complaint jar, yeah.
Everybody gets a ribbon.
Yeah.
Tax director, you guys just wanted that on the agenda each meeting until we figure it out. The state is requesting our sales ratio study to be uploaded. Just verifying that you guys do want me to upload last year's.
Mhm.
Correct, okay, got it.
Change the date.
Okay. I was just gonna call him and say re-upload it.
Yeah. You've already got it. What action does this require for us?
Oh, the new courthouse, old courthouse refinancing. The building authority met yesterday, which constitutes me and John and Troy, and we've checked into refinancing the bonds, and there'll be a cost savings of $94,000.
Yep.
net savings when we reissue the bonds, so we're gonna move forward with that, and the commission has to approve it, and then we'll have a new lease,
Yeah, yeah, amendment to the lease.
an amendment to the lease, and there'll probably be depending on how it sorts out, a new trustee instead of the Bank of North Dakota.
Yes,
And how many years?
11 years left, I believe.
11 years left?
Yeah.
Right, so this went out to a private it didn't go the full bond issuance route, it's gonna go to a private entities that have bid on it.
'Cause it's not a, the county's bond rating
Mhm.
got downgraded, then it got upgraded somewhat, and it hasn't been reviewed again. So we're not gonna issue rated bonds. They're gonna be unrated, so they're not quite as competitive, but the market risk is such that if we wait for them to rate us,
Mm-hmm.
interest rates could go up or the bond.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like a $12,000,
Yeah.
and it costs you like $7,500 to get it rated. You have to pay for the rating, and then the issuing costs are higher when they're rated.
Which could take up to 6 months to do it, in which time the interest rates could go higher.
Sure, absolutely.
Troy was in charge of most of this, all of it.
Yeah.
This was all on Troy's. He was good enough to do it and present it to us.
So he's been in contact with Moody's and
Yeah.
Public Finance. I can't remember
So the net result is, about $94,000.
$1,000 savings
Savings, net savings to the
county.
So the building authority, then is of the opinion that, of course, it's the county's decision, but the building authority is of the opinion it would benefit the county taxpayers to move forward with this. The term is still the same. It's still the 11 years
11
to
years.
finish it. And it would reduce that payment considerably, so we're about 8,000. Yeah, 8,000 every year. And Sam's requested that money go into her building fund, but I don't know what we can do.
You thought this was it?
On a bigger desk now.
Oh, the desk fund.
And we got the light switches behind us now. So, again, I think, what do we need, Dale? We need permission from the,
You need a motion then from us, Dale?
Yeah, I think we need to sign a certification. Did we bring?
do we have the?
We have a certification that needs to go, yeah.
So just some background on this, when this was originally built, there was a
Oh,
building
did you
authority
need-
set up because
Did you not get
to
everything?
own the building.
Do you have
You
the
do know all
certification
that.
for me to
Then
sign
it took
for the
back.
commission?
Commission, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order to guarantee that the payment came from the public entity, the private entity,
Okay.
the Bank of North Dakota was the trustee on the thing.
It is.
So they were set, so now we're going to modify that lease agreement so that they were the trustee in case the building authority can take it away.
Went away.
Which in essence they did, but
There's this
it
one,
was
which is
intact.
me.
We replaced,
Yeah,
the three of us replaced some of the members. And
the 5 of you did. But now these 2 did.
no, we could only, at the time. that
Sean
we
and
got
Ron
it done,
wouldn't-
Sean and Ron wouldn't.
They
do it.
wouldn't submit.
So,
They held by their guns.
yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
this will be, I don't think even, interest rates can't get any lower, but even time frame wise, it wouldn't make sense to do it again. So this will probably be the final.
Okay.
And Jamie's gotta look it over and make sure it's all
Legal.
legal.
So you want me to make a motion to approve this then, is that what you guys are after?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the, what do we call it, the bond, bond reissuing, is that what we call it, I guess?
Fine.
Well,
Or-
It's
it's a lease agreement basically
agreement.
with the building authority, because the building authority will issue the bond.
Yeah.
And this is the same bonding company that did the original bond also. It's handling this now.
We're looking for this is a resolution authorizing the issuance of Griggs County Building Authority lease revenue bonds, Series 2021, Griggs County, North Dakota general obligation. And this is a resolution to do the preparation of the necessary documents for this to occur.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Where is it? Right here.
So we have a motion by Scott to approve the resolution of issuance. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Did you sign it? Is there a spot for you to sign it?
President of the building authority.
And this will happen fairly quickly. The bid is good till the issuance date was the 14th of April, so they have, I think, everything in place, and we think it'll.
Right. So now so now this will affect the next budget. So instead of allocating $176,000 towards the payment, we'll allocate 94 or 8,000 less.
Is that set up so that the payment is the same for the 11 years, or does the interest go down as is it payment and interest, or is it just?
No,
continu-
it's the same.
Yeah.
So one continuous payment?
Yeah.
It doesn't take as many mills to cover the payment now. So
Mhm,
originally it
mhm.
was maxed out at 10 mills because that was what the law, we could only allow that. Now we're down we're gonna be in $160,000 range. It's gonna be down in the, 8 mil range. 7 mil range.
Future business.
Would you like me to put the burn ban on the agenda for the next meeting to see if you guys would like it to be continued?
I think you should.
Okay, and then would you like me to put the gun issue on the agenda for the next meeting to see if you
If it's
need?
been resolved.
Yeah, or do you want that just to be a dead issue until further information?
I think just till further information.
Yeah, when Wes has something for us, he can
Okay,
let us know if he's.
okay.
As far as we're concerned, it's more of a gossip thing, the way it sounds than anything else. It's not-
Did the attic submit a voucher to you for this?
Just those emails,
Just those emails?
that's all I got.
I mean, we've been here for how many years? 8 years?
We've never
heard of it.
Never seen it. I talked to Bob on that the other day, and he thought it came before us right when we started, and it was, not budgeted, and we denied it, and we've never heard. But it happened to do a bit of research to find out if that was what transpired or not. Anything else for the good of the order?
For the good?
Yeah.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mark to adjourn. Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Second by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 3:56 PM. Next regular meeting is on Tuesday, April 22nd at 2:30 PM in this room.